Hello and welcome back to Channel 13. Tonight we're going to be wrapping up Fan Favorites Week with Martyr Proc. Probably the deck I'm most it has our most views on YouTube. This is definitely my budget deck of choice. Oh, of course that's the wrong deck. That's Soul Sisters. That's from Sunday. That's bad. There we go. There's Martyr Proc. This is the budget deck. That is my go-to recommendation for anybody asking to buy into Modern or a budget deck or a fun deck. So we are coming in at $285, which, 13, that's not budget. What's wrong? Well, we are still running two copies of the New Horizon lands. We have multiple copies of Ruined Halo, which haven't really been reprinted recently. There were a couple in Iconic Masters, but the price is still up. Excuse me. And I am still a huge fan of Thalia. Note for this edition, I am actually taking like 95% of a list from MTG 50 finish. So I did move Thalia to the sideboard. She's still very good, and I'm a huge fan of her, but she is a moderately expensive card that's not necessary for the deck, but it is my personal taste. And then the rest is basically just the sideboard slots and Giver of Rune. So Ranger Captain also has a little bit of a price to it. It's new Modern Horizons cards, but I love all the cards here. Well, I've done a massive breakdown. If you want to know all the pieces piece by piece, feel free to go check out the YouTube channel. Just search for Squirrel Dealer, Martyr Proc. We've got it. And I go over everything. I go over a couple of different budget options, but real quick review here. So, first and foremost, we have our namesake cards, which are Martyr of Sands and Proclamation of Rebirth. So, Martyr of Sands is the entire engine for this deck. You may pay one and reveal X white cards from your hand. Of note, we have a lot of white cards, even if they're less effective than colorless, just because they're white. But then you sack Martyr of Sands to gain 3 times that life. Then our explosive start that makes this deck function is Serra Ascendant on turn 1. So if you turn 1 Serra Ascendant, it goes unanswered. You run out of Martyr of Sands, reveal 4 white cards. You have a 6/6 flying lifelinker attacking on turn 2. Just fantastic. Then Proclamation of Rebirth allows us to buy back multiple creatures with converted mana cost 1 or less. But more importantly, you can pay 6 mana to continuously buy back 1 creature at a time. So we can keep buying back Martyr, keep getting life, we can keep buying back Serra Ascendant, keep having a threat, but that's the entire core of the deck. Then on top of that, we're running Ranger of Eos, which will go tutor up 2 creatures with converted mana cost 1 or less. Noticing a theme here? Yeah, everything's cheap. Then Ranger Captain, same effect, but you only get 1 copy. Ranger Captain has actually not been amazing in this strategy. I do think Ranger Captain with Sun Titan would be great, but unfortunately couldn't squeeze room into this build. But these cards both put a threat onto the field and go get you multiple 1 CMC creatures. Then on top of that, we have Squawks. So Squawks is an awesome engine. So if we don't Martyr on 2, we can actually Squadron Hawk, go get 3 white cards to reveal to Martyr, adding 9 more life to our life total. And it also allows us to do fun shenanigans with Mistveil Plains that will come up. But then last but not least, we have a couple of 1-drops that are actually threatening. Giver of Runes, the new mom, just great card. Thraben Inspector is probably one of my favorite tutor targets because by the time that you're casting a Ranger Captain for 4 mana, you can pretty easily go get a Thraben Inspector, draw another card. This ends up reading like draw 2, put 5 power, 6, 7 toughness on the table. Just super good. And then we get Path to Exile. Because Path is so powerful in Modern at the moment, it is actually putting up a fight versus Hogak, and that is the deck. Well, we got into a game a little faster than I was expecting, but yeah, we'll give that a shot. Opponents on the play. We do have our engine here. So Kami of False Hope actually works really well with either a Maria or Proclamation of Rebirth. It's basically infinite fogs. It's a little weak in our opening hand. We do have a couple of tutors. If I knew this was something akin to Jund, I'd probably keep it, but we want a little bit of a faster start here. Most of our deck is 1-drops. Oh, and paid off beyond belief. This is super good. So Ranger's a little slow and we don't have the mana. We can tuck that. But here we get our turn 1 Serra Ascendant, and then if our opponent doesn't interact with us, we can Squawks if they do. Alright, it's Mono Red Phoenix, so thing's going to be dying. Walking Bliss is not that great here. So considerations. Serra Ascendant comes out, gets gut shot or lava darted. It just dies. I can Thraben Inspector, Squawks, go get 3 cards, and then follow it up with a turn 3 6/6 with Martyr, assuming that we don't get shot for like 10 plus damage. Yeah, we're going to slow roll this a little bit. Just get Thrabes out as a chump blocker, see if opponent tries to go off. Squawks is also pretty good for blocking Arclight Phoenixes back to back to back. But it's going to be a little hard to stay above 30. Well, seeing as how they're not on Phoenix, I'm 100% chump blocking this. They still have mana up, which means it's probably at least 3 damage. And 2 life is probably make or break a 6/6 flying lifelinker, so... Oh, sweet. Okay. Really needed that land for this plan to work. Squawks is actually a very powerful magic card. The first time I saw it, I just didn't get it, but look at that. It's draw 3, put a 1/1 flyer on the field. Back up to a nice fully stocked hand. Alright, so we actually have a shot of making this a 6/6, so currently we're going to be... Yep, that hurts. We're gaining 4 times 3. We're only getting 12 life. 12 life is better than no life, though. Next turn, we can make a 2/2 Walking Ballista. Yeah, we're just going to go for it. Paying 1. There could be an argument to hold the Serra Ascendant, but... What are you going to do? And I had to do this in this order. This is likely not going to stick around as a 6/6. Opponent just needs to bolt us and then flashback Lava Dart. Otherwise, it would be better to try to fog with Martyr of Sands, but gaining the additional 3 life and just putting this in the danger zone is about the best I'm expecting to get here. Ooh, another Lava Dart. Alright, the pain's coming. They can get at least 4 more damage off of Prowess. 6 more. Yep. So we can get hit for 12 here. But opponent's not going to get rid of their lands. Walking Ballista, unfortunately, isn't going to cover it either, because Walking Ballista, they'll just flashback one of the Lava Darts. I really want to see what I draw with the Clue. I am actually expecting to get a 1-drop and then potentially run out of Maria tapped. If not, we're going to be on Squawks. Yeah, Field of Ruin doesn't cover it. Alright, Squawks, come down. You're chump blocking. So I think the best card off the top right now is a Ranger Captain. Ranger Captain, go get another Martyr of Sands. Just gain life back up so that they can't burn us. Ugh, that's bad. So we could be looking at 10 damage here if they want to go all out. Alright, Mutagenic Growth, little spicy. Probably budget Phyrexian, or Surgical Extraction. But we're taking 8, potentially 12. They are running out of gas, though. They haven't gotten their Phoenixes online, which means that they're basically drawing blanks. Like, obviously, a Swift Sphere is going to be gas, another Soul Scar is fine, but they can only send so much burn upstairs. Well, that's a start. I think this puts us at 13. So just barely alive. Kami is actually a fantastic draw here. So Kami's going to make it so that they actually have to point damage at it during our turn. So I do want a multi-spell here. Ameria's not going to be online until you have 7 or more planes. We're currently at 4. So Field of Ruin gets to come out. We will just run out the Kami. With no Anthem effects, it's just going to die to a Lava Dart, but it'll make it so that they can't time it during their turn. Then I do want to keep 1 Squawks around in case we find a Misspell Plains. So I'm going to run out the walking ballista here and basically be on full fog duty. But we need to start gaining some life. Unfortunately, Martyr now just means we're going to gain 3. Alright, they found another mage. Lava Dart targeting Walking Ballista. That's fine. So I'm looking at 4 damage here and at least 3 next turn. Any prowess triggers make next turn significantly worse, so yeah, we're just going to chump. And hopefully they don't call me during our turn, but oh, that's bad. That's really bad. We're running out of time. This means that they can Lava Dart the Kami after casting a bolt and we die. Why did we draw so many lands? We are at a point that... Oh, nope. Proclamation won't combat lock them. We needed that last turn. Alright, well, we got a fog. Yep. Expected opponent to have a land because they didn't try to do anything pre-combat. And there's a ranger. So what are our best draws here? We get Sarah Ascendant, Giver of Runes, Martyr of Sands. We've already burned our Walking Ballista, which is probably one of the better cards we could have gotten here. And we need 2 more planes. Yep, you got it, opponent. So, Giver of Runes is a good long-term blocker. Martyr of Sands will gain us a little bit of life so that we just don't get burnt out. Sarah's Ascendant's just a 1/1 lifelinker that's going to chump block. The Raven Inspector can potentially draw us out of this by drawing either a Winds of Abandon or a Proclamation of Rebirth. So I'm thinking we want 1 Raven Inspector and potentially 1 Martyr of Sands. Then that means I get a Martyr here, and that'll get us out of burn range. And the Ranger makes attacking slightly awkward unless they want to lose their last land. Oh boy, that's another attacker. So they're getting at least 1 prowess trigger here, but they're tapped out. So they could have a mutagenic growth. Yeah, that's fine. You got squawks. They don't have anything else with flashback, though. Sign blocks. Reveal Thraben Inspector. Gain 3 life. Alright, so... Had a land. That's fair. That's totally fair. Path is good. And in case I draw a creature, I want to be able to cast it here. That's Winds of Abandon. Opponent said win like 30 lives. I was actually on the wrong capture screen. So let's see here. I can chump block for a turn. I think I'm on path and just hope that they don't draw Bolt. If I fog Bolt for a turn, I can just Winds of Abandon, nuke out 2 creatures, and be alive to top decks. So that's actually fine. Path their creature, take 2. Giver's not terrible. Let's go ahead and overload. Give them all their lands. This is actually a pretty good basic check too. It can see if we actually need to pull in our Crucible plan. Likely with this deck it's not going to matter, but since they're mainly on basics and canopy lands. Kiln Fiend. Okay. That's a snow-covered plains. That's not what you wanted to see. Alright, well, we are 1 land away from turning a Mary online. Ouch, we go to 1. That's a Field of Ruin. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. We did hit a couple of decent top decks in the middle there, but we did flood really hard. Alright, well, Thalia comes in. I didn't actually see any Phoenixes from opponents, so Rest in Peace is probably out. Eidolon of Rhetoric's pretty good. It's a Storm Hate piece, but it's also a 1/4, so it blocks most of their creatures and also stifles their ability to completely go off. Huge fan of Uriok Champion. This card has been fantastic in every white deck I've played. Pro red, pro black. And gains us life. I will actually point out, opponent is being insanely salty. Yeah, you're playing a somewhat budget twist on a big deck. We're playing something fringe, like maybe just let us do us. As far as cuts. We like a lot of the cards in our deck. Banishing Light and Oblivion Ring really don't do a whole lot versus hasty creatures, and they're not instant speed removals. We also kind of don't care about Ranger Captain. I guess it's technically a 3/3, which means they have to invest into it pretty heavily, and the sacrifice is nothing in this matchup. Maybe just a little bit something slower like the Ranger. I could see just trimming our top end since we are bringing in a couple of other things that increase our curve. I don't know, last cut, maybe just the Ghost Quarter. They don't have any lands that we care about, and we did get flooded, and I know that's result space. You typically don't want to trim lands if you know that you want them, but we aren't going to get any value from that, so it's fine. And this hand doesn't do anything explosive, but we do have one of our best hate pieces as well as a way to restock, so let's hang on to it. And opponent has to answer Giver, and it has to be answered with a real card because it has 2 toughness. Huge upgrade over Mom. Not true. Mom targets herself. That was not technically true. And opponent, you got it. I'm not going to try to call that bluff. You have gut shots and mutagenic growths. Alright, and I do believe Squawks is correct here. It's better use of mana. And depending on if opponent missequences, if they have gut shot, it might actually be able to block and survive a gut shot. But if they use a real card trying to answer it, then we have backups. Alright, proper sequencing for Giver of Runes is always assign block first so that the combat gets fogged. Then you give it protection, and now if they want to kill Squawks, they've got the opportunity. But they would have killed Giver, so Doesn't seem that likely. Yep, we take one. And a Soul Scar. Alright, well, Emeria is by far our slowest land. It's a little sad that we saw the one copy both games, but I'm expecting opponent to try to go really hard this turn. They've spent time setting up 3 prowess creatures, so this is going to be the turn that they try to go off. Or they have nothing in hand. I guess both of those are technically possible. Lava Spike going face. Alright, you've got my attention. I'm just going to look at taking the 2. Opponent does have 4 cards in hand, and I'm probably going to want multiple chump blockers over a couple of turns. We're going to be protecting one. Let's just go for it. Get rid of the one with the static ability. Haste isn't relevant since they're all attacking. And then you know what? You've actually had a full turn to live. Let's get the one that's summoning sick. I'd like you to be pro-red, sir. Alright, and... Okay. Yep, you got it. Ooh, that's a Thalia. So I was actually trying to get it in my head that I'd be running out the Snow-Covered Plains for Walking Ballista for 2. I think that with the Thalia, though... So I have 2 lines ahead of me with both of these cards. So Squawks isn't getting cast this turn. That's pretty apparent. Walking Ballista for 2 means that I get to assign blocks, and they have to spend a real card killing Giver of Runes, and Walking Ballista will survive. Or I can Thalia and expect to not let them free cast anything. So I actually think I'm on Walking Ballista for 2 here. Then that means that I can try to protect it with Giver of Runes. They can use their spot creature removal on Giver, so that Walking Ballista can't do anything. And then if they tap out, I can Thalia and actually be sure that I can shoot down one of the Swift Spears. Hitting 4 mana, though, means we might actually see a... Nope, no Phoenix. Of note, Walking Ballista is also colorless, which would mean that keeping this in hand makes future Martyr of Sands worse. We blocky. Pro red. Let combat damage happen. Now try to shoot it. Alright, no prowess. Mistveil Plains. Alright, so this is a Plains, and this is how we can actually tuck Squadron Hawks back into our deck. This is actually really high priority to try to get out. And seeing as how they don't have targeted removal, Thalia gets to come down. And I think that means Walking Ballista is getting in. We do actually have to start applying pressure to the opponent, and we have a blocker. Future Swift Spear is bad, but... I mean, I'll do what I can. The opponent hasn't had instants or sorceries. It looks like they're getting flooded pretty hard over there. Manamorphose is a good card. Costing 3 mana makes it significantly less good, though. Alright, that tank makes me think that they have options. Nope, they're done. Well, they can't free cast anything, so they probably shouldn't be attacking. Yep. Oh, and that's why we play this deck. Ameria, pretty easy come down. Oriok Champion is the Soul Sister that is pro red. Then we're going to be using Mistveil Plains to tuck a Squadron Hawk, so when we cast the next one, it'll refill our hand. And that means that Thalia gets to get in. Should just be able to eat Swift Spear. They can't free cast a Prowess. And I have a permanent ground blocker, so I like where I'm at. First targeted removal has to hit Giver. Alright, Squawks, go back in. Path. Oh yeah, that's good. Squadron Hawk. It even gains us life now. I love you, Squawks. You're everything I'd want out of a pet falcon. Alright, then this means that Thalia could technically get in. We'll wait a turn, though. Flame Slash targeting Giver. That's fair. You get that. Oh, that was bad. I actually should have given a creature protection. By not giving a creature protection there, they could technically kill Thalia if they had a sorcery. But I'm assuming the second that they got that, they cast it. Alright, well, I can't do anything with 2 mana. We just get to move along. And then Mistveil Plains Tuck Giver is actually pretty good, so I'm planning on doing that. Ameria is 1 plains away from reanimating, though, so I guess that's not actually going to happen. Like I said, my friendly neighborhood Hawk in. Chip it in for 1. And we can run out the other 2 pretty confidently. They shouldn't have discard. If they do, Ameria will at least pick 1 back up if we start tucking them again. So just get our air clock going. Gain some life. Hold up path, and we are pretty far ahead. It's going to be hard for opponent to interact with us at this point. Yep, Thalia down. Still need 2 creatures to attack in, preferably ones with trample because we can keep tucking Squawks. That Manamorphose is significantly better. It's just free. I am mildly afraid of a Kiln Fiend. I have plenty of answers, but Kiln Fiend does have the opportunity to one-shot us. I liked it, but you got it. It may have been more correct to hold up powering up the Walking Ballista instead of running out the third Squadron Hawk, because that would have meant if Thalia went down, I could still path and power it up. Would be less weak to gut shot. Although, sometimes you just get the right cards. And opponents F6. I don't think that they actually have anything here. We get another Giver of Runes just for tilts. These guys get in. Alright, opponent. We're gaining a decent chunk of life. We have Pro Red. What you got for me? That was a disappointing display of your resources, but whatever, teach their own. Also should have tucked Walking Ballista. We can't marry a Walking Ballista, so that would have actually been the correct call. Alright, and if opponent wants to play it this way, we'll just make it so that they can't cast on their turn. And I believe that's called the lock. Yeah, you technically get to cycle your land and play creatures. Guess you're not completely out of it. Oh, and Amaria's online. They do technically have a Lava Dart in the yard, so if they have a real card, here they could potentially kill one of our creatures, but yep. Alright, we got it. Opponent will make us fight to the bitter end after being very salty, though. So, do I want Ruined Halo just so I can call one of their creatures? Because that seems hilarious. What would the trim be? I don't really think I want to get rid of any of my captains. Like, we've already trimmed a lot of them just to expedite our game plan. Eidolon could technically be a consideration. I don't know. Some of our cards are really bad versus their strategy. I do like Dryad Militant. It is a good one-off or 2-1. I think we're probably pretty good just to run it back. Oh boy. I don't think I can keep this. I keep some greedy hands, but these are just going to die to... I am so live to Martyr of Sand's top deck, though. So live. So run out the squawks, go pick 3 up, gain 12. I don't think I can do it. I probably need to trim these just because they have so much burn they can probably keep me under 30. Oh boy. That's a little bit of rough running there. Great. Alright, well, congrats, opponent. You get to be salty and take the freebie. So, yeah, I have to tuck Martyr. It's just too much of a late game card. I guess the Saracendant. I'll just path their first threat and hopefully put out a blocker. Cantrip. Not a great sign from their deck. Could be on Kiln Fiend. The Trample is relevant versus the Protection, though. I know a lot of the more standard lists have been running it. But that is a way to trample over a lot of damage. Pathing here just for mana efficiency. I probably should have waited for them to commit a card into it. Something like a Mutagenic Growth would actually be really painful. But we made turn 2 without taking damage, and we have one of our best sideboard cards, so... that's not good. This Field of Ruin is basically just telling them that they can't crack the Fiery Islet. We actually do like to use a lot of our mana, so I'm not going to get rid of mine for no reason. But if they do tap down, easy snag. Could be an argument, just say run out all of your planes for future Emeria, but... oh, they're going deep. Oh, he's trying. Oh, and sometimes it just pays off to actually draw the right cards. All right, so there's Ranger Captain. We get to start gaining some life. And what do I want to get? Probably just a Thraben Inspector so I can try to draw myself out of this mulligan. A Walking Ballista for 2 has some merit to it, but opponent still doesn't have a threat yet, so they're on a lot of spells. It's probably just Giver. This is going to have to eat a removal spell. And they do technically have hasty creatures, so I'm not attacking in. That's painful. I haven't seen that card since like the pre-release. Everybody was stoked on it for Tron, but it just didn't get there. Alright, and again, sometimes it just pays off. I'm 100% cashing this in because they've shown themselves to be threat light. Oh, they've got it. We'll see if they want to trade. Alright, so they think they get to do something. Well, opponent, you're getting the opportunity. Man, they're getting through those canopy lands. I think their deck might be running too many lands, though. They've been getting flooded in, like, all of the games. So they had the other mutagenic growth? It's a bad card to draw, but whatever. It fogs for a turn, also gets a Martyr in the yard. Although if opponent attacks in, I actually might just swing back for 4. An opponent controls. Alright. Yep, you got it. Opponent must be suffering from the Giver of Runes lately. Misville Plains. Don't really think that helps. I am going to keep Ranger around for a moment. I think it's correct to try to wait until they have 2 prowess creatures to fog combat. So, like, next turn. And if they end up using a spell to target Ranger, I'm fine with that. Like, you do you, opponent. You got it. Oh, look at that. It always feels so good to draw squawks. Opponent has 1 card in hand. Let's see what happens. Opponent won't be able to cast on creatures this turn, which turns off attacking. And then I get a block with the Squawks and tuck it into the deck so I can basically continuously rebuy one Squawks. Sure. Oh, I need two white permanents. Yep, forgot about that. Well, that's a Martyr, so that's going to be my second white permanent. Then we get a Tuck of Squawks. Then we get a Cast of Squawks. Go get both Squawks, and I can gain 6. Yep, you get your Manamorphose on. You need to find a crash through to actually get damage in. And I'm pretty sure this is sorcery. Yeah, it is. A lot of these decks have been running Finale of Promise, so they can actually cast from the yard. If that's the case, we could get hit super hard here. They'll just crash through with like a Mutagenic Growth, or actually probably the Kozilek's Return since that clears our board. Lava Dart targeting a Squawks, yep. So I can do the trick with the trigger for Squadron Hawk on the stack with 2 white permanents. I can tuck it into the deck, but if opponent has any removal, that'll turn that off. Although I think that's where we're at. Fogging probably 5 damage here is probably worth it. We've got our attrition plan on, and opponent's running out of gas. Take 8. I know, I don't think the one card in hand is actually that threatening, so we'll give him a pass this turn. Alright, another Plains means Future Maria is 1 card off. So Squawks with the trigger. Let's go ahead and tuck the other Squawks. Go fetch him out. And again, I'm not really overly concerned with the single Squawks in hand. But right now, I am fairly close to being able to kill opponent in 2 turns. So Mutagenic Growth represents +4. Lightning Bolt is +5. Yeah, I've got to chump block at least 1. Besides, I get to buy back 1 a turn, so he gets to block. And that's a Ranger Captain. A little bit better than Squawks. We'll go get Kami as well as Martyr of Sands. Yeah, Martyr of Sands. Kami of False Hope. Gets to Fog Combat. Crash through. Alright, well, I have Kami, so that's not going to do any damage. Lightning Bolt targeting Ranger, you got it. Then we got to attack the other Squawks. The Raven Inspector's pretty good. So let's go ahead and just run out our entire clan here. We do need to keep one Squawks in hand, but tapping colorless. Another Thraven's fine. Let's grab some beats. So I can sack Martyr here. I think I just want Thraven Inspector. Odds are I'm just going to want to draw a card and try to path a blocker. And opponent scoops it up. So I will actually take 1 second to address this because opponent has been like super salty through this entire thing. If you are in a bad matchup or you're not having fun, feel free to concede. Not just against me, against anybody. Magic is a hobby. We like to do this for fun. If you're not particularly enjoying something, take a breath, take a break. Like, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't be spending your free time doing it. So, yeah, just try to have fun and actually be nice to people. I think that's about the most that anybody can ask for. It is nice taking down that matchup. We are probably really favored versus that just because we are so favored versus Burn and they don't actually have Skullcrack. But yeah, they do have the ability to explode. They do get a lot of recursive things. They get to recast a lot of spells. Without the 4 Thalias, I do feel like that matchup goes down fairly significantly. We also probably want an Ijano. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. Let's pull it up. Ijonjo. Prevent the next 2 damage that would be dealt to target legendary permanent. So what that does is it allows us to protect our Thalia from a gut shot. We don't actually have a lot in our deck that we care about as far as legendaries. It's basically just Thalia in the sideboard. Again, my normal list runs 4 of them, but I am running something a little bit more akin to what recently 5-0'd on Magic Online. But it is something that Taxes has started doing since the Mono Red Phoenix deck has come out to play with Hogak. Just because Gut Shot and then Protected is a legitimate line. It also frees up your givers to try to cover different creatures. I don't know. With them in the side, it's probably metagaming too hard, but we do want 7 planes for Emeria for the really grindy matchups like Jund. Alright, we got our next match. Turn 1 Giver, turn 2 Martyr with not much going on, but we can go grab a Ranger Captain, and we have lands. It's not overly explosive, but I think it's fair enough. Just hope opponent's just not on the Nutter Butters. Maybe something a little bit slower, low to the ground, like maybe a nice applesauce. Faithless Looting. Looks like it's mono red again. Nope, it's Dredge. So it being Dredge, Giver comes out. They shouldn't be interacting with us until Conflagrate. Creeping Shield does make our starting life total a little bit closer to 8 than instead of 20. So this Ranger Captain's likely getting a Dryad Militant. Milling me. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Wonder if that was a misclick or if he just wanted to know what I was doing. Giver of Runes / Mom is technically supposed to attack in Legacy if you're playing against Sneak and Show, so I'm probably supposed to be attacking against Dredge here, but I just don't see much incentive, especially with my Martyr of Sands currently on the table. There's a Hogak, which means this is probably a Cathartic Reunion. Oh, Life from the Loam. That's fair. That's a Bloodghast. They only got 1, though, which means this Hogak's probably not coming back yet. Silent Clearing. So Ranger Captain can go get me a Sarah Ascendant. I will go back up to 20, which is basically nothing. Opponent cannot attack. Yep, I think we're on the alpha plan. We're going to use this to go get a Dryad Militant just so that they get less creatures in the yard. Actually, Kami's probably better. Kami will fog. I don't know. I think they have enough of a yard. They're going to dredge the Thug. Yeah, let's get the Kami. Yeah, if I lose it because of 1 point of damage, I really should have attacked with that Giver. Yeah, life gain doesn't really matter so much with Creeping Chill around. Freebie Narcomoeba. This means Hogak's coming down. I get a clue and a silent clearing trying to get into a path, and I have Kami to buy a turn if I find a... Oh boy. Proclamation of Rebirth. Then I can start looping this at 6 mana. Yeah, I was way too late for the Dryad Militant. Well, we drew it, so represent. I will be cracking the Clued in step. Hogak can block, so I can make this pro, swing in, sack this at instep. Oh, no, I want to undo. Whatever. They're going to block with the Narcomoeba. So that was not the best call. Now that means the Bloodghast should be getting in pretty free. If opponent does actually go too heavy into this and I draw into Winds of Abandon, we could have another shot at this. Yeah, I will take 6 this turn, hoping you commit more to the board. They can only surprise me for 6 more Creeping Chill damage, so I'm still technically safe. And there's Stinky Boy. Bringing back the Bloodghast. I'm not a huge fan of that line. Yeah, you got it, opponent. You get the prized Amalgam too. Oblivion Ring. Oh, taking that hit did turn Bloodghast into hasty threats. Walking Ballista doesn't do anything. Oblivion Ring Hogak is probably my best line, but that means I'm not attacking. Kami's going to buy me a full turn. Take down the Gak. And this makes blocking for them really hard, or this makes attacking really hard. So I think I'm just going to run out the Walking Ballista. I don't think I'm going to ping opponent to death here, and I'd rather just have 1 additional blocker that can potentially shoot down if they attack. I could see them just attacking with Stinkweed here, but it is a really good blocker for them. But with my Giver out, it's... Yeah, Combat Math is getting a little complicated. I do have some good draws, so I'm willing to try to stall this out as long as possible. Squawks here reads gain 9 life, put out a couple of flying blockers / attackers. Ranger Captain probably means I'm getting a 6/6 flying lifelinker. And of note, I think the opponent took a natural draw. Yeah, they took a natural draw. Alpha. So... Yeah, I think we just put some stuff in front of some other stuff and see what's going to happen. So, Walking Ballista. Yeah, we're going to do this and then just sack the commie. There's your Faithless Looting. Opponent took natural draws again. I wonder what they're trying to get to. They had a Stinkweed they could dredge for 5. They might just be trying to find their Conflagrate? Alright, Ranger Captain's technically a draw. That means we're going to go get a... We have a Martyr of Sands that can gain 6 life off of this. We have Giver of Runes that make attacking impossible, and Thraben Inspector that can sacrifice themselves for a turn. We're just going to do double Giver. So 2, 5, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'm not even close to killing them. Cathartic Reunion. I really think they're just looking for Conflagrate and trying to get cards in hand. Yep, they found it, but we have a Dryad Militant, so that's not an out. That's a flyer. That kind of helps. Life from the Loam goes straight to exile. They do find another Bloodghast. These Bloodghasts are going to be a little hard to deal with. So I need to survive a full turn for these Givers. I really need to find a Proclamation of Rebirth. They found another Gak. That's also kind of a problem. They do have 3 cards left, though. Block that, block that. We're going to block here, and I want to gain the life. If I gain enough life, they can't do anything. A Squawks off the top is great. So I take 2. They can't actually Creeping Chill anymore. Yeah, we actually ate one with the Dryad Militant. So that seems fine. We give protection to him, and we shoot that. You're going to be pro-black. And you're going to shoot probably Narcomoeba. The Bloodghast is just going to come back with any landfall trigger, and they have 7 cards in hand and just cast Life from the Loam, so that's clearly happening. Yep, that's a lot of prized amalgams. Winds of Abandon. Thrabes. Alright, well that's technically a redraw. That's an Emeria. That's 1 Plains too shy. Alright, so I gain 6, put out 2 Giver of Runes. Some number of Givers is going to die here. Oh, I should have sacked Martyr with the Thraben Inspector. If we died at 3 life, I'll be sad. If I kill Gak, it just comes back. I really don't think sacking the Ranger Captain here is going to do anything. It could technically stop a hard cast at the last Creeping Chill. Alright, so free block. At this point, I'm probably willing to make this trade. I take 8, 9. So I'd be taking 9 with this block, and I'd be losing 2 creatures. That seems fine. You get pro-black. Actually, probably should have saved the Giver here. The Giver would make anything able to block the Prized Amalgam because it's likely to just make a comeback. And if this is hard cast, Conflagrate, or Creeping Chill, yep, feels bad, man. Would have had 3 more life. Still hard. Well, we have a very nice 3 Rest in Pieces for this. Uriok Champions, and probably Rune Talos. So the problem is that they're going to be bringing in Force of Vigor, and Force of Vigor is going to be able to blow up 2 of our enchantments. I think just having additional coverage for Gak because he's the only problem in their deck is worth it. As far as trims, Walking Ballista can temporarily shoot stuff down. This is probably only relevant on the play when we can actually grab a Bloodghast on turn 1 to slow down Gak by a full turn. I don't think that's good enough. Thanks to Creeping Chill, we're not going to be able to hit 32 very fast, so Path is great. Sarah Ascendant's great if we turn it online. Winds of Abandon is the best. Not a huge fan of these two. Destroying one of our enchantments and bringing back a Gak is just so negative for us. The Sacrifice Clause here isn't great, and we are kind of playing with our cards, so sure. We could technically do Land Destruction, but as long as they have basics, it's still a landfall trigger. I don't know. Maybe just take out a... I love all of our 1-drops. We play this deck because of the 1-drops. Sure, just a Ranger. This takes away a lot of our grinding value, but they're such a fast deck, we're either probably going to Stonewall them or not Stonewall them. 3 redraws and a rip. Turn 2 rip on the play. I've heard that's not good enough, but it's only not good enough versus the best hands. There's a Shriekhorn. Milling me. That's weird. Alright, well, opponent hasn't actually started anything yet. The worst case scenario here is Faithless Looting, discard Dread. Yeah, this is fine. So I'm going to take a turn to Squadron Hawk and make it look like I don't have Rip. If they thought sees me, then feel free to boo. But opponent shouldn't be able to get Gawk into play, and... Oh, that was stupid of me. Get rid of Ghost Quarter. We're not going to try to lock here. That was very poor playing on my part. You're supposed to go fetch 2, leave 1 in the deck, and just pray not to top deck it. There's a Cathartic Reunion. They can't make a landfall, though, and this is how you eat a Gak and a Bloodghast for free. So... This rip doesn't look like it actually furthers the board, but this is technically removal spells from their extra zones. So we saw 2 Gaks out of them in game 1. I found my Rune Halo. Silent Clearing. Oh, Blast Zone on 1 is a beating. Putting a charge counter on. So they're going after the Squawks. Makes sense. And by that, of course, I'm ironically saying that they're going for the Rest in Peace. Okay, well, I'm not pathing myself here. Path is actually premium removal versus most of their deck, and we slowed them down pretty significantly. That Field of Rune's interesting. Double Field of Rune, hold up Path, or double Squawks, hold up Path. And Squawks is down, but they have a Hogak, so whatever. If I can't get another... If I can't start tucking, I can't start tucking. We have opponent at 12, technically on a 4-turn clock, and we have a path up. They've used a decent amount of resources to go off. A land, all 3 counters of the Shriekhorn. They found Gak. No dredgers, though. Gotta take wins where you get them. They did find a dredger. Rip. 6-turn clock. That shrank significantly. Alright, so try to pinch him off black, draw off of Silent Clearing. Gonna get attacks in first in case for some reason they have another Lightning Axe or something and actually want to use it. Pinch the black, it's the only color. Get Plains, which is just great in case we draw a Maria. We can sack this to see if we draw a good card. Misvale Plains is actually a pretty decent draw here. So we can start tucking 1 Squadron Hawk with 1 more white permanent. Also as a tapped Plains, so we're actually furthering our board state and being mana efficient. Although that's bad. I don't like that card. Well, we have 1 more rip in our deck. The Dryad Arbor! I wonder what that's in there for. It cannot be Edict effects. Alright, so I have 5 Plains. What are the odds of me drawing a Maria and 1 more Plains top deck back to back? Probably not very high. So let's go ahead and just get in. And sack our land. That is a Serra Ascendant. That is also 3 damage for free. I should probably evaluate what opponent has over here. So they did bring in Assassin's Trophies. They've got prized amalgams. They have dredge targets, life from the loams. They did find a Bloodghast and another Creeping Chill. So it's about to go down. Opponent's likely going to take their turn to cast Hogak, which means... Do I care about this one? I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't. Opponent, you had me thinking about it, though. And I don't want to tuck anything in there. I don't want to top deck a land. It's just a bad cantrip. Alright. Gain 9, run out 2 Serra Ascendants is not very appealing. But I think that's where my life is at. So let's get some free beats in. I am unfortunately showing my opponent my path to exile, although they have to assume I've got it. But going above 10 means that the Bloodghasts are no longer hasty. An opponent only has 10 cards left. There's Stinkweed. Oh, this is in here for a green creature to convoke to Hogak. That makes sense. I get it now. I see what you did there. And look at those nice beefy prized amalgams. There's the path. Opponent knew it was coming. So I can try to stall for 10 turns, or I can try to do 14 damage. There are currently 3 Creeping Chills accounted for, so I have to do 17. And that means surviving's harder. Oh, that's a little bit easier. Now I just need to kill their creatures, and mine are tiny. Oh yeah, dude, Brad won Creeping Chill. I'm a little sick of that card. Well, they should technically be out of action. They can Assassin's Trophy me, but that doesn't really do too much for their yard. So I'm 100% eating this, and I'm 100% eating this. And I think I saved this guy. Misfell Plains, you're looking terrible with Rip. Opponent's cycling. Alright. That makes things harder. What I need is a Ranger Captain, not a Plains. Plains doesn't even help me thanks to Ameria. Alright, well, I have one turn to draw a Ranger Captain. A Ranger Captain will profitably block a prized amalgam as well as getting me 2 Thraben Inspectors. That will give me 2 more draws. In hindsight, I should have blocked that with the other Zara Ascendant. They're hard casting Creeping Chill again. The pain. Alright, you got it, opponent. Well played, Dredge. Well played. That moves us to the 1-1 bracket. It was funny. I was actually watching one of Hoagland's videos, and he was like, "So we haven't played Hogak this league. Like, is everybody taking like a gentleman's agreement that we understand this deck is going to be banned, so they're moving away from it?" But opponent was not up on that gentlemanly agreement. I honestly can't fault him. He has the cards. I have the cards, but like, who wants to play like explosive, powerful decks, especially like creeping power decks? If I know they're on the verge of the format getting banned, like I don't know, it's just not my style to want to just pick up the most OP thing around and try to give it a couple of reps. Like I want to play the fun decks, like. Our salty opponent was spamming Z as I'm tucking my Squadron Hawks and putting infinite blockers out there. That's the type of games of Magic that I like to play. They're definitely casual, but they are a lot of fun. Seeing as how opponent was on Assassin's Trophy, it might not have been correct to bring out the Oblivion Ring and the Banishing Light. The Ruined Halo is a pretty similar effect, but it stops future copies of it, so something like the Prized Amalgams just lose all power. Alright, we have cards that we put in our deck. Yeah, turn 1 Giver. Thraben Inspector's good for attrition card advantage, especially if we start looping it with things like Ameria, but we get a Giver into Squawks and make our plays. Hopefully opponent just doesn't kill us too quickly. This hand does nothing to spell-based combo. And I'm expecting discard off the Polluted Delta. I don't really have a good reason for that. It's looking like Phoenix. It's looking a lot like Phoenix. Nope, it's Steam Vents Bloodcast. Alright, well, it looks like we're about to get gawked again. Yep, this is the Hedron Crab build of Hogak. So I think I want a Path. Carrion Feeder. They got another Blood Gas, so if they mill into a Hogak, it's coming down. Yep, you've got your creatures, and nothing super important other than the Vengevine. If you have a black creature, which of course you do, that means Vengevine's coming back. I think my best top deck now is a Path for the Vengevine, and then I can run out Thraben Inspector to Stonewall the Bloodgas. And by Stonewall, I mean just stop them for a turn. A single one of them for a turn. Yeah, this is turn 2. I had a fun turn 2 once. This wasn't it. And again, it's not a mistake if you learned from it. I haven't played this deck in a little while. You're only supposed to grab 2 squawks if you're at maximum hand size. Of note, opponent actually doesn't have another zombie, so Gravecrawler's probably not getting in. But that means that I have to block the Vengevine because I'd be at 12 life, and the 12 life means that future Bloodghast don't have haste, or any of the Bloodghast that I actually block it don't have haste. Alter. Okay, so I'm about to get messed up. Okay, I'm going to take the highest probability of winning line, and that's try to shut off the most of what my opponent's doing. They cannot get the Gravecrawler back at the moment, so I'm going to force them to take it off the table. This does take me to 10. Future Bloodghast will have haste, but I think this is my best bet. If they just slam a swamp and... or they just go for it. Yeah, they're going to sack both of these, bring them back in, tap them down to cast Hogak, and then I only have... I don't think I have an out. I'd be surprised if they sack this. I'd actually be very surprised if they sack this. It does technically mill 4, but if they don't have another land, then they've already brought it back this turn. I don't have a rip main board. Like, we're probably just moving to game 2. Opponent has seen 25 cards, and I've seen 11. Opponent's trying to figure out if milling that 4 is worth it. If they actually like overcommit into milling and I draw a path to exile, I still technically have an out here as well. So they get to cast the Hogak. They don't get another landfall trigger. They can cast the Gravecrawler off of the Hogak. And then they can cast the other Hogak. I don't know. I actually haven't seen the mill play since Bridge from Below got banned, so... yeah, they just commit to a giant board, and I top deck a whole lot of nothing. So I'm basically dead just to the Gak Trample, so let's move on. Opponent did show us a lot of their deck, pretty easily bringing in the rip. Do I want the Disenchant? This would be in here for Alter. Uruk Champion's coming in. Thalia's probably not coming in. This does slow down Alter, but it's only by a turn, and they only need 1 to go off. I kind of like Invoke the Divine just to gain a little bit of life and still destroy the enchantment. I'm not huge on destroy target artifact or enchantment from Disenchant. Ruined Halo's the other consideration. I believe I brought this in last game. So, Tried Milton. They had Faithless Looting, so that probably needs to stick around. Ruined Halo is just a 2-mana version that hits multiple copies of a card. Then trim on some of the Ranger Captains. Walking Ballista can actually kill the Hedron Crab, as well as some of their Convoke creature. It's slow. Kami's still fine, although they go for the mill win. We have Mistveil Plains, though. It'll be hard for them to actually keep up with Mistveil Plains if we get both active. It's more likely Ghost Quarter turns into Strip Mine. These have been awkward every time that we've had them. I'm going to trim one. Opponent shouldn't be interacting with them, but they get some threats really fast, so... wow. Okay, this is slightly better. And we have multiple 1-drops. So this is likely turn 1 Martyr, turn 2 Squawks, turn 3... No, turn 1 Giver. 3 Avian Inspector's a little ways down the line, and we have multiple 1-drops. Giver! To be fair, last game we did a turn 1 Giver, a turn 2 Squawks, then died, so... We're going to run that plan back. Does that check with everybody? Is everybody okay with that line? Alright. Ranger's not bad. I think that's all 3. Yep, that's all 3. And I did learn my lesson. Giver's attacking. I suppose that should have meant that Sarah Ascendant should have been in the deck over Giver. Just because this could be attacking as a 6/6 next turn. Where I'm likely not going to try to use this to protect any creatures. I'll correct that if by some miracle we make it to game 3. That is a Satyr Wayfinder. Alright. Do I really have to look at the revealed? They're taking the Bloodstained Mire. They did get a Gak and a Vengevine in the yard, though. That's pretty disgusting. They put all of them in the yard? Okay, so they're planning on casting this Gak next turn. Does that change anything from my side? I think I'm still just on Martyr Sacket. The idea being that Martyr can fog the Vengevine, gain me life up to 30, and then Ranger Captain will hopefully find me 2 6/6 flying lifelinkers, as well as trade with the first Vengevine. So I need to top deck a land here. Or opponent didn't take their last land. They've got to have a land. But it's possible that they're just trying to cast Hogak here. So they did take a Polluted Delta. And that's because it was going back to the yard anyway, but that's the same logic Bloodstained Mire would have had. Here comes Gaki. And that will bring in the Vengevine. Ooh, they even have the Box Stopper one. We're going to block you. Then we're going to sack you. Gaining 15. I actually don't think a land covers it because Hogak's going to swing in for 8. Awkward. I don't want to sack a land to look for a land. I think my best bet here is expect to take Hogak hits for a moment. And protect a Squawks with Giver of Runes. Definitely seeing some of the weakness of Martyr Proc at the moment, though. We were very close from being insanely explosive. If I would have been attacking with a 6/6 flying lifelinker, then this game would be pretty easily in our favor. I think that the Giver of Runes was a mistake. That doesn't mean that this is Sarah Ascended. It just means I would have had a 1-4 chance of this being it. So that was definitely a punt in sideboarding. No path is also super awkward. probably could have mulled harder looking for a rip, but we were already at 6 cards and this was a playable hand. Alright, and just hard casting a Vengevine. So I guess that punishes me for swinging in with Squawks. But we wouldn't have had a clock. Like, I do have to start attacking at some point in time. You're going to be pro-green. There's a Plains. So, Ranger Captain, go get a Martyr that's going to gain me 12 life. That's not going to do anything versus the Hogak. And cost me a life because I have to tap the Silent Clearing. I don't know, this is technically okay if they actually run out the Altar of Dementia. So I'm going to grab one Sarah Ascendant just because I believe I can do something with it at some point, and then probably a Kami. Actually, wait, no. So what that means is I want to grab Kami so I can fog a combat step and a Martyr, but I still had Sarah Ascendant clicked on. All right, well, we tried. Oh, yeah, Squawks wasn't going to block. I should have sent them in. One was going to block, but one wasn't. And opponent's at 10. But what this would have allowed me to do if this was a Martyr was I could have sacked it and gained 15 life, and then I could have ran out the Kami to fog combat, and then this Ranger could actually get me a Sarah Ascendant and make it a 6/6 flying life linker, and then opponent couldn't attack in. But that, because I actually selected this, I'm set back a turn. Unless I can actually get a Martyr and Invoke on turn 3. Opponent has 4 cards in hand. They can mill half their deck here. I don't think they intend on getting the Vengevines back, though. Otherwise, they definitely would have gotten in. Opponent can currently mill for 16, 17, 18. They found another Vengevine. At the moment, Pro Green's getting through, though, so I could actually hit them for 5 here, put out Kami, and get ready to fog and attack again. That actually might be good enough. They actually need to find a Hedron Crab so that they can block my Ranger. I'm a little surprised I missed that line. I'm sorry. Chat, you're probably just like, you're an idiot. You had lethal if you would have attacked in. They did find 1 Hedron Crab here, though, so they probably have 3. If I hit for 5, then run out of Squawks and the Sarah Ascendant. Okay, opponent's just trying to cast a second Hogak to get back their Vengevines. That makes sense. I fully get that. If you don't have the Crab, though, I actually might be able to steal this. If opponent does this correctly, they're going to sack this with the triggers on the stack. I can't imagine they don't. There you go. You got it. They found yet another Hogak. So they can cast him again, but that means they're going to mill for 28. That is actually kind of close to milling me out. But they don't know that I have Invoked the Divine, so if they're planning on milling me, they're going to have some problems. If they do mill it again, they can mill for 36 and then 42. I'm still alive. I guess 44, but that still gives me one turn to attack. If I'm actually mathing this correctly. Yep, you've still got priority. You got to sack that. That's going to be 28, 36, 42, 43, 44. This is off of power, right? Yep. Milling themselves. All right. Can they get another activation? I guess they have grave crawlers, so they can cast 2 grave crawlers and mill me for 4 more. So if they can Hogak 3 times, they do have it. And this will be 1 more time. Yep, Mill's targeting me. I still think this comes up shy, though, because this is going to be a Hogak, and they cast 2 grave crawlers. They do it 1 more time. Going pro green. Attack with all creatures. Run out our friendly neighborhood Kami. And I'm doing this meow because they can't actually cast a Hogak again, so that should lock it up. Gravecrawler can't block. Rip. Okay, well this is in my main phase, so I can still technically run out a Thraben Inspector as a blocker. That's probably my biggest creature. But I'm going to be taking beats for 16. Yeah, I'm dead. Alright, you got it, opponent. Oh boy, that creature removal hit me right in the good stuff. That was well played, opponent. Well played. I thought we were being so slick too. They didn't show us any Assassin's trophies from their yard, if I'm not mistaken. They were delving a lot, and I kind of just let them do their thing. I was just watching for mill. I guess it would have been most correct to do it in their upkeep. They still couldn't recast Hogak, but they wouldn't know that the combat line would be out, so they wouldn't force the action on Kami. This is very close to what we want for an explosive start. Unfortunately, our second white source is a pain land, and if I Sarah send it on 1 and I even draw a white card, I only have 9 life gain, which is going to put me at 28 after the silent clearing damage. So this hand is perfectly reasonable, but we're not going to have the explosive start, and we're also on the draw. Spire Bluff Canal means Phoenix or Storm, and honestly, neither of those matchups are overly exciting for me. If I do that and I top deck a white source, I'm swinging in for 6. So I'm going to put opponent to the test here. This is a bad matchup, so they have to remove this. Alright, it's Phoenix. Phoenix confirmed. Let's see if they have a gut shot. The most up-to-date lists are running 2 Surgicals mainboard. So Martyr of Sands revealing our hand can potentially give them information on how to snag cards out, but white card? Not a white card. So, Martyr. I'm sequencing this in a way that opponent should be forced into blocking. They just showed that they do not have gut shot. I also don't want to telegraph my hand. I did just say that we only have 3 white cards or less, but if opponent tries to target the Sarah Ascendant, then I can flip and save it. Yep, that's a Manamorphose. So expecting Titty to flip here, which undoes all my life gain. Alright, what you got? The fact opponent's tanking cannot be good here. I cannot imagine with 5 cards in hand they can't flip this thing in the ice. I'm also a little scared because if they don't flip thing in the ice, I'm going to try to Banishing Light it, which means they're almost certainly on Spell Pierce. Oh, and 2 Phoenixes. That's just lovely. I don't think I'm coming back from this. Because I'm going to get hit for 7 and then get hit for 6, so I'm taking 13 here. Scratch that. I'm taking a lot here. They know what we're on. Sure, why not? We'll give it an attempt, but we lost this. It was a 6/6 flying lifelinker for one for a moment. But opponent was on the play, and this is a turn 3 format. I really hate this interaction. It's so hard to play fair Magic with this. Alright, so Giver of Runes. I get to Banishing Light, take 6. So I can technically Giver and like Sarah Ascendant and start fogging this and just take 6 by sacking a Giver of Runes. Actually, no, that's our line. Our only way out of this is to find for our opponent to be on Stone Cold Nothing and for us to sack our Sarah Ascendant and draw some good cards. So I get a Fog the Awoken Horror, I get a Banishing Light and Arclight Phoenix, and then I get to start Ranger Captain. They get to flip our blockers and then kill us. Yeah, we're not coming back from that. Opponent, not going to make you go through it. So Ruined Halo is actually the secret sauce versus Aria Flame. Uriok Champion doesn't really do anything. We gain life on our stuff. Eidolon is pretty decent hate. Thalia is great hate. I could bring Invoke the Divine in for the Aria. It makes us gain 10 life, but I think opponent might be a little wary of that. You only want to bring in Rest in Peace if you will not lose to Titty, and we can lose to Titty, but we can at least block it or give her it for a while. So I'm willing to consider it. I don't think it's going to happen. If the game goes this long, then we're probably just going to win. Ranger Captain's effect of not allowing your opponent to cast non-creatures is actually super relevant. Sorcery speed, remove target. Titty is just unacceptable. They're going to play it, then flip it. Proclamation probably just needs to come out. I'm a little rusty with this deck. If you go back and watch my videos, I make it very clear that you're supposed to rest in peace for Proclamation, because this cares about your yard, and you really bring rest in peace in when you want to see it. I haven't done that yet. I apologize. That is something to consider. Kami is okay because if they're going to flip Titty, you can just sack it, and then none of the combat damage that happens that turn. You have a bunch of cheap threats, so you can just redeploy. Thraben Inspector's slightly awkward. It just doesn't do anything on the ground. Getting bounced is perfectly acceptable. I don't mind having a couple in here to just incidentally draw or to tutor for with the Ranger Captain, but I think this is how I want to sideboard. The Walking Ballista is so tempting, but you can't shoot Titty for 4 under most circumstances, and shooting down a bird's probably not that relevant. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe actually should have had a ranger instead, but rip, no lands. 1 land. But we have things I care about, so we're going to try this. Keep, Squawks fixes all mulligan problems, Path for Titty. Dryad Milton's actually super good here, especially if they're on the other plan. Wow, I think it actually has to be the Rude Halo. If they Aria, yell at me. If they gut shot this, then no harm, no foul. Spire Bluff, Serum Visions. You got it. Hey, look at that. We're good at this game. We have not seen Phoenixes yet, so I'm just going to commit like I would if we're gold fishing until I actually have to interact. I'm hoping opponent Titties next turn we can just Path and Thraben Inspector. Or if they end up Faithful Suitings, they don't have a free spell, so they can't get Phoenixes back. But 1 mana, 2/1, that is Incidental Hate. I love this card as a tutor target, and when it's good, it's fantastic. When it's bad, it's still a 2/1. Look at that Titty. Should I call that? I feel like I called that. Alright, Path you. Run out Giver so that my future Squadron Hawk can go on chump block duty for the Phoenixes. And let's get some beats in. Opponent has some nice Ravnica lands. You did a good job picking lands, James JWU. I respect that. Saheeli. Rip. Alright, well I think it's time for Rip to actually make its appearance, because it'll eat the Lava Dart. Then all in at Saheeli, I don't really think matters. So the interaction here, I actually never thought about it, so I'm going to bring it up for a second. Target artifact you control becomes a top copy of other target artifact or creature. If there's a Titty out, this will become a copy of Titty with 0 counters, and it'll try to flip, but because it's a token, it can't flip, so it'll just be a 0/4 until end of turn. So I don't need to worry about that actually flipping over. I think I am 100% on Squawks attacking. And I want to take down Saheeli. I think I can grind them. And that means Thrabes comes out. Oh, Rip wasn't needed because of the Dryad Militant. Derp. Spells don't kill creatures, state-based actions do. That is very relevant. It's still fine to have it out, though. There's a Titty in the yard, and we have additional coverage because they did kill the Dryad Militant. This may have been one turn too soon, though. Having another Squawks out here puts the Healy on a 2-turn clock as opposed to a 4-turn clock. I can still technically go pro colorless and swing in through the servos, but Giver's supposed to be defensive, so I'm not going to push for that. And now I can't get in through Titty, so that's fine. Squawks is not very productive at the moment. Just going to sack the clue. Is that a good card? I really don't believe it is. Alright, let's chip Saheeli. Now, unfortunately, if they make a thing in the ice and cast one more spell, they can attack in for 10. Just because they can still minus and Saheeli will stick around. Rip, rip, rip. So, this likely doesn't matter, but I did punt versus mono red game 1. I'm going to make this pro red. It just means that they'll target this one if they have another spell like a lava dart, or a gut shot. But it's still instant speed. They still could have targeted it. It's just minor. It's good form to always do that. Then you don't forget when it does matter. Yep. Manamorphose. Make a servo. Move a counter off of Titty. Draw a replacement card so that you can actually make 2 Awoken Horrors. Opponent is definitely chaining those cantrips. Assuming I get bolted in the face. Faithless Looting. I do still have Rip Out, so that means that I'm not getting hit with a Phoenix, but this is flipping. They're going to have 2 spells, so I am going to get hit for 14 here. And because I have no hasty threat, so Healy's going to stick around for a bit. Get rid of 2 lands. Oh, it doesn't have haste. Opponent made the same mistake I did. For some reason I thought that would have haste. Oh, thank you, opponent. That's pretty sexy. So opponent already knows my hand, but this is just a casual gain 15. And I get a cantrip out of it, as well as a chump blocker. Those are turns I can live with. Hitting the Squawk, so I'm expecting an Arclight Phoenix in my future. Little surprised I didn't hit Thraben Inspector because Thraben Inspector stops the servos. Oh, I guess Squawks actually could kill Saheeli. That makes sense. They left 1 back. You know, if you want to trade a card for my Thraben Inspector, you got it. It's either a Lava Dart or a Gut Shot, but you're still going to have to make that trade. That's awesome. That is so awesome. That's a pretty good card, too. So, Ranger Captain. It's likely just going to get Walking Ballista. Oh, I took Walking Ballista out. I'm so bad at this game. So Walking Ballista here would show up because it's 0 CMC, and then I could put it up for 2 and shoot Saheeli, but I'm bad at this game. So I can get Martyr of Sands and go up to 30, although that's going to be a short-lived 30. I can get Giver of Runes, it's just going to be Summoning Sick. I can get Sarah Ascendant, that's only going to gain me a life. I think I'm on Thraben Inspector because opponent definitely saw how me drawing cards can get me out of this. So Kami can also fog combat. I'm going to take Kami. So efficient use of mana says Squawks needs to come out here, plus if they don't find removal, it's going to kill Saheeli. Actually, am I supposed to sack Ranger Captain here? I can't imagine that's right. But running out Kami is going to make flipping this thing in the ice when they draw cards pretty bad for them. So hopefully they just draw a land here. Squawks can kill Saheeli, and then they won't be incentivized to flip this thing in the ice. Oh, I drew a land. I should have been more specific. Oh boy. Do I sack the Ranger? Yeah, I do. So the incentive of sacking the Ranger there means that if they have a sorcery or something akin to it, they can't actually cast it. The Awoken Horror is supposed to get in here as well as the 2 servos. I guess they could prioritize trying to kill my Thraben Inspector. Yeah, I'm actually going to let that go because they're looking at trying to flip this thing in the ice. So if they flip this thing in the ice, this is going to represent another clue token for me, as well as clearing their servos. Alright, let's try this. And hopefully they're not on sorcery or instant speed. Hey, it's gone! Nope. Kami. Squawks. Yep, they had a sorcery, so glad I did that. Gonna prevent 14 damage this turn. Staying alive, staying alive. So I think Squawks are permanently becoming chump blockers. Oh, I love this deck! Gain 15. Giver of Runes. I actually think I'm on Squawks here. I'm planning on taking 7. Okay, that looked like a bolt. This looks like a, yep, arc light. Silent Clearing. I don't actually think that helps me. I think I'm on Thraben Inspector, crack the clue, see if I find something a little bit more appealing. Misspell Plains. Yeah, that doesn't really help either. I am looking for Winds of Abandon. Winds of Abandon just clearing my opponent's stuff is how I plan on winning this game. Thought Scour targeting themselves with a Rip Out. I don't think that's correct unless you know your top cards, and they didn't Serum Vision, so... Yeah, not a huge fan of that, but you gotta do what you gotta do. We're gonna go Pro Blue. Well, our Squawks engine is dying. And I'm sacking this. That's another Thraben Inspector. That's a decent draw. That's 100% Thalia and Squawks, though. And gotta make it clear to an opponent that they might actually need to start watching their life total. They are chipping in for a lot of damage, but it is very possible that I end up just getting a Ranger and start swinging in for 3 every turn. Alright, well, let's make it so that you can block this turn. It's possible that only Phoenix gets in this turn. This is a sinkhole. Okay. Yeah, opponent was trying to figure out if they wanted to delve or not. Alright, that's a Ranger. So, do I know what I'm getting? I think I'm getting a Giver of Runes, which means that I have 2 mana available. So before I cast this, I'm actually going to sack my Clue. Yeah, that's fine. Maria's not going to be online this game, so whatever. I can't help but feel like this would be a different game if I left Walking Ballista in the deck. It's just such a good tutor target. Thraben Inspector's a redraw. What do I actually care about here? So Eidolon's good. Winds of Abandon will just clear the board. Rude Halo turns off Awoken Horror. Yeah, I actually think I'm on Thraben Inspector. I just have so many good cards I can draw into that I think I'm just going to commit super hard for that. Okay, this time they targeted me and hit my Path to Exile. So that would have been a decent card. If they find another Phoenix, I'm actually kind of struggling to fight the air battle. So weird they left the Phoenix back. Maybe they want to trade with my Ranger since it kills them in 3 turns? Alright, now the question is it worth it to sack the Ranger Captain to stick the Ruined Halo? What are the odds that my opponent actually has counter magic? If they have it, it's probably a spell pierce and I can pay for it. What have they showed us? They've shown us no counter magic. Attacking first. If they do want to make this trade, then that means that I'm completely taking all of their threats off the table. That was weird. Didn't attack, didn't block. And when naming cards, their face does matter. So now I have protection from Awoken Horror. My creatures do not, but I do. So they're permanently on blocking duty. Guess that would have been a reason to name Arclight Phoenix, but... Sacking it here just that they can't cast another spell this turn. Path is now a live draw. And I find an island. Alright, looking for Giver, Path, the Winds of Abandon. Giver's fine. Giver's going to put them on a 2-turn clock if they don't have removal. So I'm barely going to win the race if nobody does anything at this point. I'll die at 1. Opponent fighting an Arc Light's going to be super bad for me. Those taps are always weird. It makes me think that they have a cantrip or something. I'm still banking on the fact that they probably have a magnetic sinkhole. I still haven't seen theirs, and they definitely were floating mana like they were doing it. Okay, that was a very good draw from opponent. That put us dead to the Arclight Phoenix. Alright, GG's. Whew. Alright, well, I did feel like we put up a really good fight there. We did go 0-2, but like that was a legitimate game. I do think I potentially missed sideboard again. Having our Rangers there would have actually just won the game. Having the additional 3-2 body and being able to tutor up 2 things there could have actually saved us, as well as we saw how good Walking Ballista would have been. Opponent wouldn't have been able to get the advantage off of Saheeli, but we're going to go. We're blah, blah, blah words. We are going to go ahead and try to take this as a 2-3. This deck can do significantly better. I'll cover a couple of the things that I'm thinking at the end of it, but... so top deck, Sarah, or Martyr, and that's going to be game 9. Alternatively, Thraben Inspector, Path. I'm going to hope that opponent stumbles a little bit. Well, we kept 7, so it's likely not happening. Prismatic Vista, so immediately thinking Wurza. Well, let's get the Incidental Hate down in case they are actually a spell-based deck, and we'll go ahead and chip in for 1. Prismatic Vista doesn't actually tell me much other than they're likely on basics. Snow-Covered Mountain means it's likely Scred. And that's a Lightning Bolt. Yep, you got it. Then that means I'm going to run out the Sarah Ascendant. Likely not going to have enough life even if I top deck Martyr, but it is a threat that opponent's going to have to answer. And it's Jeskai. No, this is still probably Wurza. Alright, let's get our beats, and I'm just going to run my board out. These at least can trip, so I have somewhere to go with them. Top decking Martyr now is going to feel awful, but... I'm not really expecting a Anger of the Gods here. That's a Teferi that I'm likely going to kill. If he pluses, it'll survive with 1. Okay, so they are spell-based, and it's basically just Jeskai. So, logic here. I'm sending a Thraben Inspector at Teferi in case they have a gut shot, just because people are running it for random reasons. This could be Jeskai, Phoenix for all I know. That should kill the opponent's creature. I get to run out my Dryad Militant. Then I get to hold up Path and sacking a Clue. Bouncing the Dryad Militant there wasn't because they were spell-based, it's because it was 2 power. I suppose that is the better reasoning. I do also have the option of tucking the Sarah Ascendant back into my deck, but seeing as how I'm not above 30 life, it's really not important yet. That's a Giver. I'm not going to be casting the Oblivion Ring. That is the draw that I wanted. Ice Fang Codal. You got it. So they're going to block the Sarah Ascendant. I think that's worth blowing a path over. Oh, this also might be the Soul Herder deck. I don't know why they got a mountain to start, but it could be the Soul Herder deck. Okay. Significantly better line there. So that baited out the Bolt, which means that this Giver of Runes is going to be fine. I don't get a Squawks yet, but if I Squawks into top decking a Martyr, that means that I'll gain enough life that future Sarah Ascendants are good, and then I'll probably start tucking. Oh, there's Saheeli. There's Snow Saheeli. That's cute. We could have died there if they actually flickered a land. Okay, they did have the other Bolt. Well, applying as much pressure as we can with white weenies. 100% eating the Felidar Guardians so that we can continue swinging in. Also removes their combo. And creature beats continue. Oh boy, that's bad. That's so bad. Felidar, Blink Teferi bounce, probably Dryad Militant. Oh, they went after the Astrolabe. I'm not a fan of that. Can that not... It can target Planeswalkers. That's how it went infinite. If they could have Blinked Teferi, bounced one of my creatures, and... Yep, they got it. If you haven't seen this combo, it's rampant in Standard for a little while. They get... Oh, the overlay's in the way. This will create a copy of the Felidar Guardian. The Felidar Guardian will enter and blink Saheeli. Saheeli will come back with 3, and they'll just make infinite Guardians and one-shot me. So, what do we care about here? We want Invoke the Divine because it is an artifact, so if they go to blink it, I can actually kill it. Disenchant has the same effect. Ruined Halo will name Felidar Guardian. Warrior Champion actually blinks their combo because we'll gain as much life as they're attacking for. Thalia because they are technically a Super Friends list. And Trims, Dryad Militant is technically a 2-1, so it's probably better than what I've got. Path is targeted removal. Martyr's still fine. Giver will make things unblockable. Giver's actually probably one of the worst cards here. The Squawks package is also probably bad. Winds of Abandon won't do anything at sorcery speed. Same with Banishing Light and Oblivion Ring, especially when they can just bounce it and get it back. Then Proclamation's probably slow, and Walking Ballistic can still kill Saheeli after she -2s. Maybe just something on the top end and try to run it like that. Slowest hand ever, but it's going to stop opponent from anything that they're doing, so I'm on board. So Thraben Inspector, crack Clue. Hopefully Ranger by that point. I probably should have mulligan. This was a 5-card hand. Martyr technically is a clock, and I still get a hold-up path for Codal if they go for it on turn 2. They're probably going to do it instant speed, though, so it's likely not going to be relevant, but... Technically, sacking the Martyr here is also a line. Gaining 6 life isn't going to do a whole lot, but I do have the ability to do it. Okay. That literally does nothing against us. I'm sacking this now. Yep, because I was likely going to want to play something off of it. Did they think we were a Coco deck? I'm a little confused by that one. So it means that I can't Proclamation stuff back, but a lot of Martyr Proc lists are just taking Proclamation out because it's slow. Um, I can't cast spells from the graveyard, but I either tuck them back into my deck or I put them from my library into my hand. That also seems like a waste of a removal spell, but you do you, opponent. So I'm going to cast my champion and probably just leave the mana up. Yep. So if I get my Martyr back, I can only gain 3 life. So I'm sacking the clue. Mistvale Plains is awkward. Oh boy. And that's what you call punished. But I'll disenchant in step, draw my card. Hopefully it will be a white card. Sack it, gain 9 life. And that will actually put me at 30 thanks to life gain trigger off the champion. Detention Sphere. Do I care? Yeah, I'm probably going to disenchant that if opponent goes for their combo. Actually, I just want to be doing damage. Let's go ahead and just disenchant it now. Okay, well, good I didn't take that line because we didn't get it. Ranger Captain. So, opponent can technically function, so they'll Felidar Guardian on tap a land, so they still need 2 more mana to completely go off in a turn. This is going to be Ranger Captain, gain some life. We're going to go get a... I need white cards. I actually need white cards. So, probably just a Martyr of Sands, so that since I'm not disenchanting this one, and a Kami of False Hope, so that they can't combo me in a single turn. This was a very conservative line. Opponent's also at 6. I actually should have taken Walking Ballista and just tried to ping them to death. Really should have just taken Walking Ballista. But Ghost Quarter would be a great draw, like a fantastic draw. Oh wait, he took the champion? They think they're going to kill me. I should have sacked Martyr first. I wanted to get the 1 point of damage in. This is actually still probably correct, but it does leave me slightly weaker to Lightning Bolt because I will lose just enough life that it won't matter anymore. Okay, yeah, we got there. Opponent also hasn't seen Walking Ballista yet, otherwise they might bring in Stony Silence, although that'd be a wasted card slot. I'd actually be perfectly okay if they did that. Crucible of Worlds for Ghost Quarter lock is feeling mildly relevant, but I think we're just going to go for it. Oblivion Ring can also take Onthan Ice, but we just saw the flicker things, and I just don't want to have to deal with it. I think permanent answers are the way that we're going to win this game. Ruined Halo on Felidar Guardian. Disenchant. Sure. Martyr of Sands as a 1-1 is like the saddest thing this deck can do, but still a good card. With a top deck of Saracen, I'm pretty happy I have it. Oath of Nissa. So some things haven't changed. It's still Ponder, for the most part. Prismatic Vista. Misspell Plains. Alright, well, I have tapped lands for days, so let's go ahead and just run out our 1-1. Second Oath of Nissa. While its static ability of being able to cast Planeswalkers for any color is kind of relevant, it's not nearly as good as the Ponder effect. Opponent has a Spell Queller. Well, this is a pretty easy Felidar Guardian then. Spell Queller can eat my Martyr. Is that worth it? Probably. So if I actually get it on Squawk's Lock, I'd prefer to have Misspell Plains, and Ameri is going to be active the turn after it comes in anyway. I'm going to see if they want to make this trade. Nope. I was actually expecting a Codal to come down. We do know about the Spell Queller. I should probably pull this up. But with this given board state, I'm probably willing to trade a Martyr of Sands for half a Codal. There's Saheeli. This gives me a window to Ranger. Which is good because I am flooding like crazy. So there's our Walking Ballista and our Saracenda isn't live. Kami's still probably fine. Giver's going to get removaled. I kind of like Kami just to protect myself in case it all hits the fan. Let's chip Saheeli down. Put lethal on the table for next turn. For Saheeli, not opponent. We have a 1-1. It's doing things. There's the Prismatic Vista. So if opponent has something for the Ruined Halo and they Felidar Guardian, yep, looks like they're going for it. No, they're just going for value. That's fine. I can get behind the value. Hollowed Fountain. I'm expecting them to have Path or Bolt here. But we are covered a couple of different ways. Alright. I think I have to do this. Shoot you. Kami. I really wanted to get this out, but yeah, didn't really have much of a choice there. So this Spell Queller is going to make the Ranger Captain a little awkward. I think he's just going to have to run into the face of Spell Queller and make the trade. Walking Ballista should protect against the Codal. I can still pump this and run out the champion. Opponent does not know about my disenchant. If I run out of Maria, sorry, Rocky, I am basically 2 turns away from activating it every turn. That should at least Kami lock them. There's another Guardian. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they blink the Ballista. Oh, you control. Yeah, that's fine. Leaving up Spell Queller. Thraves. All right, let's keep it up. Yep. You got it, opponent. Happy to make that trade. That means that I get to Uriok Champion, and I actually think I'm just on Thraben Inspector. Buffing the Ballista is technically a thing, but I have a couple of different layers of protection, so may as well try to get my card draw on, actually draw into the last planes I need for the Samaria, and just completely lock them out of the game. Because they try to blink Felidar Guardian, I'll just gain life, and then they only attack for 1. I have protection from the Felidar Guardian, so as long as they want to keep this up, I'm just gaining life. I get a Fog the Combat damage if they answer the Runed Halo. And this is actually an artifact, so my disenchant's live if they try to copy one of the artifacts. Opponent found another Felidar Guardian. They have shown us this Runed Halo and the Spell Queller, so we know 1 of 4. They actually might have gotten some decent air damage in if they would have actually just used the Spell Queller to attack, but I think we're pretty decisively ahead right now. Targeting Oath of Nissa. There's probably an argument to just disenchant this, but they've shown us Detention Sphere, they've shown us On Thin Ice, like... You can draw a couple of cards. We're very close to just going off. And you're pretty decisively locked down, so... Although I can't attack in through this. I don't know, that might be an oversight. That's a pretty good one. That's a really good one. Maria online. Ranger Captain. It looks like they have a Spell Queller. They do indeed have another Spell Queller. Alright, well, Giver gets to come down, and that's going to open up the way to killing Saheeli. And no attacks, because they don't really do anything. Six Blades! I've never wanted to top deck a land so badly. I mean, opponent's technically doing their thing. They're getting some value, but they've got to find a lot of answers. I mean a lot of answers. They need to remove a creature, an enchantment, 2 creatures. If I do top deck a land, I can double buff Walking Ballista and actually start shooting stuff down proactively. I actually believe that I can kill them by milling before they can kill me with damage. I mean, Saheeli's helping, but I'm assuming they still have a Saheeli in hand. In fact, I think they just showed us one. That's a Teferi. That does remove some options. Yep, that's going to happen. But we have a Maria! Then opponent's going to drop a... opponent's 100% just going to drop a Field of Ruin and ruin my day. You get 1 turn, opponent. 1 turn to do it. There's a Codal. I don't think opponent's actually shown us any sorcery, so I don't think Teferi's Plus is very relevant. I think they're just building up to double bounce. All right, Ameria. Get good. Get good. And the obvious choice here is we're getting 2 Sarah Ascendants. Then we get to... Actually, what do I want to do with this mana? So I can Sarah Ascended, Dryad Militant, put a counter, shoot down the Death Touchers. I can just attack in. I can put 2 counters on and kill a Saheeli. I don't really think that benefits me much. I think I'm just on Martyr of Sands. Then I will be attacking in with this. I just want something to actually reanimate that I kind of care about. We can go ahead and Sarah Ascendant as a massive 6/6 flyer. And I don't think opponent has Snapcaster. They probably also don't have board clears, though. So let's just go ahead and commit. Then you get a turn before I start swinging in for a lot of damage. It actually might be loose. I could probably kill opponent with Walking Ballista at this point. I'm really surprised that they're not bouncing with Teferi and then flickering Teferi. By the way, I can't cast this Disenchant anymore because of Teferi, making it so I can only cast things anytime I can cast a sorcery. I'm sure that's going to come up at least once. Alright, opponent, this is the turn to piece it together. I can also cash out Walking Ballista to get back the Ranger Captain with its own sacrifice effect. So that I just continuously have something that I can take care of. Like, I can continuously get this back with a Maria without having to figure out how to kill this guy off. Opponent does know my hand, and I probably should have added a counter, but I don't know what else I would have pinged. I guess pinging Teferi would have meant that I didn't have it for a turn, but... And I think this is where opponent finds out that I have a Kami on the table. I know it's a modern staple, but... I also have a Maria, so I just constantly have them under combat lock. Yeah, I think you're out of options. I do only hit you for 6 here, though. So I want to use Misspell Planes to tuck Walking Ballista back in case I find a tutor target, then I can just shoot for 4. Then we come here. We're going to bring back Kami. Silent Clearing doesn't really do anything, so let's take a fresh look. Snow-covered plains. Oh, what does happen is if they block with Spell Queller, then I get the Ranger Captain. I just go tutor up the Walking Ballista. I don't want to attack with that because that is an important hate piece. But this should at least put opponent down to 3, and I have 6 mana for the Walking Ballista. Oh, but they have the Teferi. Yep, that was bad. That was pretty bad. I should have known better. Opponent's thinning, trying to figure out what their outs are, but they have to answer 3 things with 1 card in hand. I don't think it's going to happen. Can't believe I forgot about the Teferi interaction. I built like 3 decks around it. New Teferi. Yep, you get back a Felidar Guardian. That allows you to blink Saheeli. Oh no, you figured out you can like blink Teferi. Alright, so you know it's possible. It does tax your mana a lot, though. But you have 2 cards in hand, 2 mana, you have to answer 3 things. Apparently he's going to look for a flyer. Yep, okay, we got there. And we ended with the 2-3. So, Martyr Proc. I do love this deck. So, I can try to pull up the 5-0 list that I was trying to mimic, but I feel like this deck struggles a lot with combo. The matches that we lost were basically all combo based. I'm going to call Is It Phoenix combo because technically it's a fair deck, but it does try to do things by turn 3 and attack for like 16 damage utilizing the graveyard. So it's kind of its own beast, and the fact that it can flip all of our creatures when we're creature based is just so backbreaking. But something like a Thalia taxing them so that they don't flip as quickly, it gives you time to get your Path to Exiles that do cost more. But it also means that if you have a Thalia out and you happen to get to 4 mana, your Banishing Lights are actually live versus Thing in the Ice, as opposed to your board getting flipped and then having to deal with the Awoken Horror. We did show a lot of strength versus burn. Basically, any life game strategy versus the mono red ones are going to be pretty decent. Hogak is a menace. For a while there, blue. Excuse me, was a little slow on that one. For a little while there, Blue Eye Control was running 4 Rips main board and no Snapcasters. That was before Hogak was even a deck, just because of how graveyard dependent the meta is between Dredge, Phoenix, Hogak. Like, I could actually see the argument for having Rip's main board. We didn't actually even see Proclamation of Rebirth tonight. Despite the fact the name is Martyr Proc, I don't think that has a very good place in the deck. I think tutoring up your toolbox creatures ends up leading to more fun and engaging games of Magic, as well as allowing you to actually like have game versus whatever you're currently playing against. The one Walking Ballista is required. Again, if you actually want to go card by card, I did do a pretty good job with the Martyr Proc 2019 video on Squirrel Dealer's website. I do really like Thalia. I also am really liking the Give Reverence. Like, just so good at protecting a single creature. The Canopy lands aren't necessarily worth it. Emeria is so good when it's good, but when it's bad, it's a tap land. It doesn't count towards anything. Squawks is actually a real engine. It helps you grind out versus fair decks without trample. And Ruined Halo didn't actually work versus Aria Flame. The way Aria Flame is worded, it's each opponent gains 10 life. So if you have Ruined Halo out, you'll gain 10 life. But then your opponent has to target a player, which means they have to target themselves. So super spicy. I really like it. Warrior Champion is also super good. Yeah, I think I covered a lot of what I care about. There were a number of times tonight where I wanted the Winds of Abandon. This list only had one. I've been running 2. I think 2 is a pretty sweet spot. Like, it just can answer all of your opponent's creatures. The number of times it's a good top deck are very high. Being sorcery speed is a little bad, but when you're a deck that actually cares about trying to get like 7 planes and an Emeria out, 6 mana to completely nuke your opponent's board when you've been grinding is so good. And anyways, I think that's all I can say for tonight. I know I've covered a lot of this in the past. This is the end of Fan Week. Thank you for sticking around. We've played Soul Sisters, 8-Rack, and Martyr Proc this week, so feel free to go to Squirrel Dealer's YouTube page. Just search for Squirrel Dealer. It'll pop up. We've got all those videos as well as like a 6-month catalog of everything in the past. If you have a fun deck or if you like specifically Martyr Proc would like help building it on a budget, feel free to email stacks at Squirrel Dealer. Or if you just have something fun that you haven't seen anybody do and you think it's got some legs, happy to take a look. If it's super spicy, happy to run it through a league. But I'll at least address what I see and all that fun stuff. If you do like our content, I have my schedule over on the left-hand side there. Brad One is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All of our videos are hosted on the Squirrel Dealer staff account. If you'd like to talk and chat, feel free to join our channel. And if you'd like to reach me directly, feel free to reach out on Reddit. But thanks for sticking around tonight, guys. Martyr Proc, ton of fun. I do love this deck. And I will be talking to you all later.